Good morning, everybody. Hope you had a wonderful summer weekend, and we'll get started here. 5Q tape breakdown last week was look at what happens when you correct somebody twice in 30 seconds. And I'll demonstrate a couple of ways to go instead of to get on their side. And guys, if you don't listen to tapes, will you ever catch yourself correcting people? Because we don't mean to correct people. We don't mean to tell people they're stupid. But if you're not listening to tapes, you're going to find you're doing it. I'm telling you, because when you listen to tapes, you're going to find yourself doing it on a regular basis. So you need to listen to those tapes to make yourself ultra sensitive to doing that with people. So, and where will that skill help you? Only in business? Not correcting people. Will that skill help you only in business, or where will that skill help you? Everywhere, exactly, everywhere. So a couple things to look at. Personal consumption expenditures as a percent of gross national product, gross domestic national product. So compared to the world, our economy is driven by people buying stuff or not people buying stuff. So what percentage of our economy is driven by people buying stuff? Yeah, over 70%. So that bodes well or not so well for everything that's going on right now. So let's take a look at that. Salaries before the COVID, salaries before COVID and the loss. So if we see here, people that have lost less than 10%, well, let's go to the worst. People who have lost 75 to 99%. Which group, which income group? 15,000? Which one has the highest? 25 to 34 has the highest. What has the second highest, guys? What has the second highest? See if you can read charts. 200K, right. 15% have lost 75 to 99% of their income. So what does this tell you when we look? First of all, when we're looking, have people lost income? I don't care whether it's 10%. Losing 10% of your income, does that affect your spending? Losing 10 to 24%, does that affect your spending? Look at 23, or basically 60% of people making $150,000 to $200,000 have lost 10 to 50% of their income. Yes, that means no, Mark, exactly right. No discretionary income. So how does that change spending habits? So what steps will Americans be taking in the next 3 months to cope with income loss? 75% are going to cut expenses. So are they going to cut their utility bill? Is that what they cut, guys? Utility bill, is that the expense they cut? What do they cut? Poor people maybe cut spending on grocery bills, but people, we're talking about poor people here. 200,000, 150, 100,000. Those aren't poor people. 75 to 90. Those are not poor people. So what are they going to spend? Spend less on what? Yes, big ticket items, vacationing, clothing, all the stuff that drive our what? Our economy. Is that going to bode well or not so well? Yeah, not so well. So gazing at the future, why stocks will be underperforming for the next 10 years. So here's the rolling 10-year total return as compared to the starting 10-year PE. So you guys get that? Each one of these bars is looking at 1 year or the previous 10 years. Each one of these bars here are looking at 1 year or the previous 10 years. Okay, everybody's getting it. It's 10 years. 10 years. So when PE is high, what does the next 10 years return look like? When PE is over this 10%, or over, PE is over 15, what does it look like for the next 10 years? And so that means during this time period, the market over 10 years was negative. During this time period, the market over the next 10 years was negative, as we all experienced with 2008. So where is PE right now? So what are we looking at? Would you get why this is blank? Why is this blank right here, guys? Why is the return blank right here? Even though we're all the way to 2000. This is blank is why, because we don't know what the 10-year return is going to be until 10 years from now, exactly. But with us right now, where are we looking at? What are we looking at for return? Good or not so good for the next 10 years? Poor. But does that mean it's going, the next 10 years is going to be just 2%, 2%, 2%, 2%, 2% for 10 years? No, it means it's going to be up and down, and there's an investment that's really good when the market's going up and down. And what is that? There's one investment that's perfect for that. So Tom's got it, Nick's got it, Glad's got it. Yeah, the FIA. So for sure, where should 50% of your money be right now? In an FIA. Does that make sense? Mark sent me an example of something that really puts a dot on the I and a cross on the T and why we need to see all of our clients' documents. Can we do a 21-point checklist just with a spreadsheet? If they list, even if they list all of their statements, can we do it? No, we need the actual statements. And Mark sent me a great example of why, Mr. and Mrs. Client. Let me give you an example of why we need to see all your documents. So this is from a statement. And again, do they put these small print at the front of a statement or in the back of a statement? Back in the buried. Isn't that how, when somebody doesn't want to give us our statements, the script that I've given you, isn't that talking about, hey, no, you don't need me to read your front page. You can read the front page yourself. But guess where all this stuff is buried? On the front page or in the back, the small print on the back side? It's in the small print on the back side. So let's zoom in a little bit closer here. Revenue, this is in the small print. Revenue sharing and additional compensation, in addition to commissions on sales and 12B1 fees received in connection with distribution of mutual funds to our clients that are affiliate or our affiliates receive revenue sharing payments from distributors and or advisors of the mutual funds that we sell. These amounts are based on two different components: the amount of sales by a UBS of a particular mutual fund family to our clients, and the asset value of the particular mutual fund family shares held the firm. We and our affiliates also receive networking and omnibus processing fees in consideration for transfer agent fees, and we provide to the mutual funds. These fees generally are paid from the investor assets in the mutual fund, or a fixed dollar amount based on the number of accounts as a broker-dealer holding mutual funds of that fund activity. In addition to commissions received with the sale or distribution of annuity contracts and unit investment trusts to our clients, we and our affiliate receive revenue sharing compensation for many of these insurance companies underwriting annuity contracts, affiliates and insurance companies, sponsors, and the unit investment trusts distribute. In addition to commissions received from purchase sales of next share funds, our affiliates also receive, guys, what this is saying is what? What they see is what they get, or they ain't seeing anything of the fees that they're paying. And is UBS the only entity that does this? Everybody does this. So when they want to know why do I need to show you the statements, you can just show them something like this that says, you know, this is the stuff that's buried in. Did you know this was happening? Would you like to know how much this is costing you? Without this, guess what we can't do? Tell you. So we need the actual statements. Does that make sense? So thanks for sharing that, Mark. Okay, today we're going to talk about the next 1/16 of the Ray Dalio principles. And the section we're going to talk about today is people are wired differently. So we're going to go through some psychobabble, but why is it important for us to understand the psychology of how people think? Because the more we understand how they think, guess what? The easier it is to help them make good decisions for themselves. So people are born with attributes that can both help us and hurt us depending on their application. If you're born with the attribute of stubbornness, can that help you in life? Yeah, absolutely. Can it hurt you in life? Yeah, absolutely. If you're born with a nature of being trusting, can that help you in life? Yes. Can that hurt you in life? Yes. So there is no good or bad attribute. It can be used for good or it can be used for bad. So we have to understand how people think a little bit. We don't want to get too much in the mud or too much in the mire, but we need to figure out a little bit how they think. Because if we know how they think, guess what? We're going to be better able to facilitate them making good decisions for themselves. And see, that's the problem with right now. Because right now, should people be making decisions right now with everything that's going on with the market and everything else? Should people be analyzing where they're at and making good decisions right now? Laying out, the Ben Franklin pros and cons. Am I doing a good or am I doing bad? Is my portfolio working the exact way it should, or is it not? More than ever, because when everything's going perfectly, do you need to make a lot of decisions? No. But right now is the very time they need to be making decisions. But because things are uncertain, what have people decided to do? When things are uncertain, what do people do? What does the turtle do? Puts their head right back in the shell. They decide to do nothing. So at the very time they should be doing something, they don't want to do anything. When things are going fantastic, well, then it's easier to make those decisions. So that's what we're experiencing right now with marketing, but that's also what we're experiencing right now with clients. So think about this as it applies to you and your clients. So the things I'm about to go through from Dalia's book apply to both you and I, us as our individuals, and that also applies to clients. So as we go through these things, think about, hey, how does this apply to me? How is this helping me? How is this hurting me? And then also think, when it applies to the client, how is it helping my client or hurting my client when they think this way? So the first thing we want to talk about is we're all wired to connect. And when it says we're all wired to connect, we're not all wired to connect. There are some hermits out there, but as a fraction of the population, how many people are hermits and do not want anything to do with any other human being? A large percentage or a small percentage? A very small percentage. We're talking like very, very few. Even introverts do it. I'm an introvert. So I've got basically about 2 or 3 friends, lots of acquaintances, but 2 or 3 friends, which is all that I need. But even as an introvert, do I want 0 friends? No. Everybody needs connections. We all have connections, and depending on how much of an extrovert or introvert you are, will determine how many of those connections you need. But we can utilize the fact that people need to feel connected. People want to be part of a group. People want to be part of a something, and we can use that. To have someone understand your mind is a whole new level of connection. Now, does the 5Q system help you understand people's minds? Yeah. How? That's right, Nick. They tell us. By asking open-ended questions, they tell us. That's right, Tom. So when we ask open-ended questions, here's what we found is how many people are pathological liars? Large percentage or small percentage? And how many of them do you want as clients? None. So when we've talked about this many times, when you ask close-ended questions and you get them to say yes, what is that worth? If they say yes to any of your questions, what's that worth? Nothing, because we don't know. Yes could mean 5 different things. Could mean I don't want to argue with you. It could mean I'm not listening to you. It could mean I don't understand you, but I don't want to look stupid. It could mean that that I don't agree with you, but I don't want to fight you. But let's talk about that one for a second. Even if they say yes to something because they don't want to fight with you, but then if you circle around and ask an open-ended question, so they dislike Tom Brady, but they don't want to get it. They know you love Tom Brady, and they don't want to get into a big fight with you. So you're going on and on and on about how great Tom Brady is, and they say, yep, yep. And then when they ask you, well, first of all, will some people do that to avoid a fight? Just go, yep. I think we've all done that with our spouse or our children or our friends or our neighbors before, right? We've done that. But if they turn around and ask, hey, what do you love about Tom Brady? What can that person not find it in his gut to do? Will that person start expounding about how great Tom Brady is in full thoughts or full sentences? Will they do that? No. So we'll agree by saying yes to something we don't agree with, but will we give well thought out communication on how great that thing is if we don't agree with it. We will not. So that's the beauty of open-ended questions. When you ask them open-ended questions, they're not going to lie. They won't say something they don't agree with. Now, will they hide it sometimes? Will they say, yeah, I see what you mean? Or they'll say, probably. That could be I could see how that could be the case. What's thrown into all those sentences? Are they totally agreeing with me when they say that? Are they totally on board when they say those things? I see how it could happen. Probably. I see what you're saying. Yeah, they have this hedging or qualifying language. That's what they do when they don't want to offend you, but they don't want to agree with you. So you have to be listening very carefully for that kind of language. When they say probably, I see what you're saying. That could happen. That's bad because they're saying, when they say it could probably, or see what you're saying, what are they saying? It ain't going to happen to me though. So we have to make sure we're listening for that qualifying language. But when we listen to them, we're going to understand what's going on in their mind when we ask those open-ended questions and we listen to them. Now, there's a problem when we listen to them because they're giving us answers, but there's we all have two kinds of minds. One is the conscious mind and one is the subconscious mind. Now, they've got the conscious on top here and the subconscious in the bottom. Why? Why do they have, in this particular image, do they have, there's more going on below, Tom. More going on below. So conscious rules about 10% of how we act. Willpower, analysis, decisions. The subconscious, 90%, is beliefs, values, emotions, habits, imagination, intuition. This drives the majority of our decision making, because again, do we make decisions analytically or do we make them emotionally? And where's the emotion? At above this side, the part of the iceberg, above or below? Where's the emotion? Above or below the water line? Below. So most of our decisions made via emotions. Guys, how many of you, when you bought your house, walked into your house, one of the biggest financial decisions you'll ever make, and you made that decision to buy the house in the first 2 minutes? Not everybody, but is anybody on the call? I mean, I've done it. I bought a house based on 2 minutes of walking in and saying, this is the house we want. That's crazy. I mean, that's a crazy way to make a decision, but it's emotional. You walk in and say, I'm home. And there's so many people who make those kind of decisions. Now, would I ever admit that to anybody? Again, I'm admitting it to you guys because I'm trying to make a point about psychology. But would I admit that to the realtor that I'm making an emotional decision, or to my spouse, or to my friend? No, because even to myself, will I even admit it to myself? No. What do I start to do? I make the decision I'm going to buy it, and then I spend the next week doing what? Justifying, right, Andre? Justifying why, or rationalizing why it's a good buying decision, why it's better than the other houses, why it's okay to spend more money than I want to spend, or why it's okay to be in a neighborhood further away from the school than I wanted to be. Whatever it may be, I make the decision emotionally and then I justify it. So we have to be aware that both of ourselves, how we make these decisions, but also how clients make the decision. This is where they're making that decision, and they're going to be doing it. Now, why? How do we use this particular thing with the 5Q system? Where's the 5Q system concentrating? Well, let me ask you a question. Why do people leave? Why do people move all their money to you? Why do they leave their current advisor? If you do the system right, why do they leave their current advisor? Well, people said motivational interviewing, their subconscious. Why exactly do they leave their current advisor? So Kevin's got it. Nick's got it. Kevin, yes. They feel like they've been what? Disrespected. They've been screwed. They've been hoodwinked. They've been lied to. Is that a conscious decision to move or a subconscious decision to move at that point? It's a knee-jerk reaction that's 100% analytical or emotional. It's pure emotion. That SOB is screwing me. I'm out of here. That SOB doesn't care about my grandkids. I'm out of here. Now, the other people who are not 5Q trained, the other advisors out there who are not 5Q trained, how are they trying to sell? How are they trying to sell? Facts and figures, right, Tom? Analytical. Look at how much fees I can save you. Look at how much taxes I can save you. And the people we want to work with, do they have money? The people we want to get in front of and work with, do they have money? Yeah, so they're living, without, if COVID wasn't here, are they buying the cars they want, going on vacation when they want, going out to eat when they want? Yes. So when you give them facts and figures on how much money you can save them, fees, taxes, how much better return you can get, that does not affect them. Why? Because they think, yeah, no, you're right. You could do those things, but it's not really affecting anything that I do every day. See, that's why we take it out of the conscious and we move it to the subconscious. We take it out of the analytical and move it to the emotional. Because if somebody thinks their guy is screwing them, what percentage of people leave their current advisor when they think that guy's screwing them? What percentage? 100%. That's right, 100%. What if they're a tire kicker and plate licker and they think their guy is screwing them? What do? They leave. But we have all experienced showing people savings of tens of thousands of dollars in taxes or tens of thousands of dollars in fees. And they still do what? They still stay with their guy, and we scratch our head and say, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? And the problem was we're trying to get them to make an intellectual decision. That's not where decisions are made. Does that make sense? So are people thinking? Some people are thinking people. Some people are feeling people. Some people make decisions objectively using logic. Some people make decisions subjectively using feeling. So we all have some thinking, and we all have some feeling. But again, the vast majority of people, even the thinking people, even the people who are very analytical, unless they're a robot, what's still under the ice, but what's still below the waterline for even thinking people? The feelings. Because guys, half of my clients, a lot of advisors tell me, I hate engineers, I hate engineers, I hate engineers. And Missy will validate, 50% of my clients were engineers. 50% of my clients are engineers. And you think they left their current advisor because of the spreadsheets, because of the fees, because of the taxes. Do even engineers get pissed off when they think somebody screwed them? Yes, they do. Now, did they use more of the spreadsheets to validate their move once they decided, my guy's screwing me, I'm leaving? Then did they go back and validate it with the spreadsheets and the fees and taxes and all those things? Yeah, they did. That's not why they moved, though. They moved because they thought the guy was taking advantage of them. So you got the pros and cons people, and you got this is important to me people. So but almost always people make the decision over here, and then if they're thinking or analytical, they'll just spend more time over here. People who are feeling people, do they ever even look at the spreadsheets? They just say, I have a gut reaction. I don't like that guy. We're leaving. So they made the decision for the feeling, and then they even crossed this bridge. The thinking people, the analytical people, the engineers, they still make the decision. That guy's screwing me. Now I'm going to go look at these analyze why it's still a good decision to move. See that? See, emotional reasoning. Evidence doesn't matter. It's true because I can feel it. What I feel is truth. You accept your emotions as evidence of truth. And that's why you have to learn the motivational interviewing. Can you tell somebody that their guy is screwing them? They've worked with the guy for 7 years. They love the guy. Can you tell them the guy is screwing them? No. They have to tell you, and it takes work to learn that motivational interviewing where you get to do that. But when they make those emotional decisions, then they'll go back and search for the reason that that's a good decision to make. And how easy is it, once they start looking at the actual numbers, how easy is it for them to validate that, yes, their guy truly was screwing them, and yes, they will save thousands of dollars, and yes, they will be in a better position. So even though my engineers made a decision emotionally to leave their guy because they're screwing them, when they went back and looked at the analytics, what did the analytics do? What did the spreadsheets do? What did the numbers do? Negate or validate their decision? That confirmed, exact. So this is for us. This is, again, going on to another topic here in this section of looking at how people are wired. This is for us, you and I, me as an individual, how to become a more effective, efficient, and better person. Choose your habits well. A habit is probably the most powerful tool in your brain's toolbox. Why do I work out first thing in the morning? Because if I don't, guess what? I won't work out. If I just say, I'm going to work out any part of the day that I have time, I won't do it. So is doing the 15-minute drill the first thing every morning the most important thing to do when you get to the office? Because if you don't do it first thing in the morning, guess what? What's the likelihood you're going to do it? If you don't do that 15-minute drill first thing in the morning, what's the likelihood you're going to even do it? It's not happening. You come up with all sorts of excuses. So think of the things that you want to get done and make them a habit. If you want to know how to make a habit over what you do, this book, Power of Habit, either on audio tape or read this book about habit forming and the power of it and how you do it. It'll change your life. Having good habits. Guys, a lot of people say, Mike, you're very disciplined. I am not a disciplined, self-disciplined person at all. Guess how I can get so much stuff done? It's not through self-discipline. Guess how I get my exercise done, how I get my eating right done, how I get these coaching calls done every week, how I do make sure I get all the things I've been required to do. It's a habit. It's a habit. It's a habit. It's a habit. I create a system that I have to follow constantly. Does that make sense? So if you are looking for a book to read, this is a great book to read. Again, reading it is worth nothing, right? I'd rather you read 10% of this book and put some of it to work than read the whole thing and do nothing. Yeah, John, that's exactly right. So understand the difference between the left brain and the right brain. Again, thinking brain versus feeling brain. Left brain, pattern perception, detail-oriented, reality-based, sequential, analytical, practical, cautious, rational, planned, stability, orderly, control. Right brain is emotional intelligence, social intelligence, holistic thinking, compassion, imagination, judgment, perception, risk-taking. We have to talk to both of these brains. So let's talk about how some people are more left brain and some people are more right brain. We all use all of it, but some are more left than right. So this is the versus of people. Some people are one way, some people are the other way. So introverts, they want intimate drinks, email communication. They work better alone. They get tired after socializing. They're good writers. They get easily distracted. Extroverts, big parties, phone calls, teamwork, crowd euphoria. They love being with big crowds. They're good speakers. They get easily bored. So are all of your clients introverts or extroverts? No, they're both. They're either or. They're some of each. But again, does it matter? 1 in 3 people are introverted. But doesn't matter, because with the 5Q system, does it matter whether they're introvert or extrovert? What are they going to tell us about themselves? They're going to tell us how they want to communicate. When you ask open-ended questions, they will tell you. They will tell you. They will tell you. Are they sensing or are they intuition? I need more data, or hey, this looks like a great opportunity just by looking at it. Again, by asking open-ended questions, we can figure out whether they're sensing or intuition. But really, people are going to be on this side. People make the decisions based on intuition, and then some people need more of that data than others to make sure to validate that decision was correct. So if they're sensing people, they focus on the reality of how things are right now. They pay attention to concrete facts and details. They prefer ideas that have practical applications. They like to describe things in a specific or literal way. So asking them open-ended questions using motivational interviewing, can we cater to these people? Will we make a mistake and treat sensing people like intuition people? No. By asking open-ended questions, they're going to tell us how they communicate. Intuition people, they imagine the possibilities of how things could be. They notice the big picture and how everything connects. They enjoy ideas and concepts for their own sake. They like to describe things in a figurative and poetic way. Doesn't matter. Again, do you understand why motivational interviewing is so powerful? Because how much time do you need to spend investigating whether they're sensing or intuiting people? How much time do you need to spend figuring out whether they're sensing or intuiting people, or whether they're introverts or experts? They don't. You have to spend any time. It's like there's some psychobabble out there, like neuro-linguistic programming, that if they use this kind of language, it means they're auditory. And you should use, instead of saying, do you see how this works? You want to say, can you hear what I'm saying? Guys, really? Do you think that if you had to go through that kind of analysis and change the words you use for every single person you worked with, whether they were seeing people or hearing people or feeling people, that would be what? And second of all, the science has proven that doesn't work. It sounds good in a book written by a guy who has no scientific background, but it does not work. But motivational interviewing, guess how much that's been tested? Been around for 400 years. It's only been quantified since the 70s, but it's been around for 400 years. Are people judging, or are they perceiving? Are they more naturally organized and planned, or do they just kind of like to go off the cuff and are flexible and spontaneous? Are they judging, or they're energized when they have plans that keep things under control? They prefer not to change plans. They know the rules and follow them happily. They like to clarify their way forward and make a good decision. That's judging. Perceiving is energized by options, possibilities, prefer to follow where curiosity or the path leads them. Rules are meant to be questioned, sometimes ignored. Like to leave their options open for as long as possible before making a decision. Again, does motivational interviewing address both these types of people? Yes. Task versus goal people. Tasks like smaller in scope, procedural and linear. They like where thinking is removed. They want to focus on action transforming to something. They micro managers. And then you have the big picture people. They're larger in scope, collective and parallel. You must figure it out. Focus on the end result produced. Again, does our process address both of these people? Yes, it does. So shapers are people who can go from visualization to actualization. They know a goal. They have a goal. They fight the problems or figure out how the problems they're going to encounter. They do it. Problems. Then they diagnose when they have those problems how to fix it. Then they redesign and they do it all over again. And then they start here again. They go constantly through this loop, right? That's how you create a success, is that you have a goal, you run into problems, you diagnose those problems, you figure out how I can figure out a better way to do it, and then you do it, and you do it all over again. Where do you use that process, guys? Where should you be using this process every single day? See if you got your thinking caps on. How should you do your 15? Nick's got it. 15-minute drill. So okay, I'm gonna go into this, and today I'm gonna look for how many times I overspeak somebody. Okay, I'm listening. Oh, there it is. There's the problem. I overspoke somebody. Okay, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna diagnose. Okay, what could I have done differently? I'm gonna go ahead and say that thing. Okay, and then I'm gonna do it all over again for 15 minutes, over and over and over again. That's how you get better at something. But again, vision without action is a daydream. Action without vision is a nightmare. So these are all great things, but if you listen, first of all, I greatly appreciate you being on these Monday calls. But if you hang up the phone and don't do anything, or you turn off your computer and then pick up your email, you don't do anything with things to talk about, what good is it? Do you have to do all the things we talk about on these Monday calls? No. What do you have to do? Are we trying to get 100% better a day, or are we trying to get 1% better a day? 1% better. Take one thing. You don't need to do all these things, but pick that one thing you're going to get better at today. And do that. Or even 1% better this week and concentrate on that one thing. And then lastly, from this section of the book, getting the right people and the right roles in support of your goal is the key to succeeding at whatever you choose to accomplish. So, and Missy, can you get on the line here? Because we actually dealt with a guy here about a year or two ago. And he was upset because he had his assistant who was fantastic at following up, getting people in, getting the business run through all the insurance companies, making sure all his IRA paperwork was done correctly, all of those things. He was getting all of those, she was getting all of those things done. And then he assigned and wanted her also to start selling healthcare insurance as well during the healthcare season. How well do you think that went, guys? Are they the same skills? So, Missy, what happened? I mean, with that.
It didn't go well. I mean, they're two totally different people, and trying to be an administrative side versus a sales side is very different. And, she was great at the administrative and keeping things organized and following up with people, very much a people person, but very much struggled on the sales side.
So, guys, here's the thing. Missy and I worked for over 20 years together. I'm the big picture. I'm the salesperson. I'm not on the administrative side. Missy is very good on the administrative side. She runs the whole company, but she is not on the sales side. Now, here's the thing. If I wanted to, I could be on the administrative side. When I was in the Navy, I was lousy with tools, so they put me in charge of administration. I did all the paperwork, and I was perfect with that. Because my personality is actually analytical. If I take a psychological test, I'm analytical. But I spend all day long selling. So could I be on the analytical side? Yes, I could. But if I'm constantly putting on my sales hat and my analytical hat and my sales hat and my analytical hat, what's going to happen? I'm going to do really well or I'm going to do poorly. Missy could sell. She's got a personality where she could sell fantastically. But if she was constantly selling and then she was going to do the administrative, and then she was selling and going to do the administrative, guess what would happen to 5Q and the administrative side? It'd go poorly. So it's not that she couldn't sell. It's not that I couldn't be on the administrative side. But when you have to find, stay in your lane. That's right. So stay in your lane. So you need to find the right people in the right roles and then give them the tools they need to be the best they can be in that role. Don't start adding other roles for them to do, because guess what's going to happen? Nothing good. Does that make sense? Super. So, guys, do you mind me breaking down and just grabbing a piece of the Ray Dalio Principles book once a month and grabbing another 1/16 of the things that he covers in that book? Is this boring to you, or is this an okay thing to do? Awesome. Because the book is fantastic, but if you read the whole book, you're not really getting. I think breaking down little pieces, just trying, like we said, find one thing that you could use out of it to make your life better. That's the way to do it. Awesome. Good. I appreciate you guys, all the hard work you've been doing. I really do, and I hope you'll have a wonderful next rest of the week, and we talk to you all next Monday. Thanks, everybody.